Hello and welcome to episode 16 of VGN Weekly for October 1st, 2024. As always, we will recap this past week's Virtual Grip Network race broadcast and bring you in-depth interviews of your favorite drivers, league owners, commentators, and more. Please like and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our broadcasts. If you are a league owner and you have a broadcasting need, please visit us at thevirtualgrip.net for info on how to get in touch with us. Welcome again to the show. I am John Hine. I'm here with your director-producer, Ryan Seneker, and we thank you for tuning in. Today's guest is going to be longtime Bootleg Racing League member Todd Liston. But before we get to that interview, though, let's go to Ryan Seneker for this week's recap.
On Saturday, September 28th, the Bootleg Racing League was back to their normal race schedule after taking the last week off for their 9th annual Stone River Shootout. The Outlaw SK Modified Invitational Series started off the night at North Wilkesboro Speedway with the opening round of Season 37. Bruce Pearson started on the pole, and Donnie Moore found himself locked in a battle for second with John Hine. Moore was able to hold his ground and slided in behind Pearson before making his move on lap 25 to take the lead. Meanwhile, Todd Liston and Kurt Smith made contact while battling for fourth, triggering a multi-car wreck involving serious contenders and shuffling the field. As the race wore on, Moore continued to lead, fending off challenges from Hine. However, a late race caution bunched the field back up, setting up for a dramatic finish. On the final lap, Hine made his move, getting a great run down the backstretch and diving inside of Moore going into turn 3, edging him out at the line by 1/100th of a second to steal the win in epic fashion. Next up, the BRL's Late Model Invitational Series kicked off their 28th season with Jeffrey Harden starting from the pole. Harden quickly established himself as the driver to beat, while Mike Holloway made impressive moves, carving his way up through the field. As the race went on, Harden maintained a sizable gap ahead of the other drivers during a long green flag run, with Holloway making his way into the second spot. The race took a dramatic turn on lap 61 when contact between Bruce Pearson and Jason Menda caused a major incident down the backstretch without bringing out a caution that spread the field out around the track. Harden successfully avoided the chaos coming out of turn 2, staying out front while Holloway kept the pressure up. A late race caution on lap 86 set up for a final sprint to the end, with Holloway again going after the race lead. But Holloway's challenge was interrupted when he found himself under attack from Todd Liston making a late charge, allowing Harden to cruise to victory, leading all 100 laps and claiming the season's first checker flag.
Thank you, Ryan. Now we'll be right back with our conversation with Todd Liston right after this quick timeout. And welcome back. This week's guest is going to be Todd Liston, and Todd is a longtime Bootleg Racing League member. He's got over 1,000 starts, 1,081 to be exact. He has 15 wins, 278 top fives, 715 top tens. Todd has also won 3 different championships, including season 36, 34 of the SK Modifieds and the Sportsman SK Modifieds. He was season 1 champion. And Todd, welcome to the show. And how you doing, champ?
Thanks, John. I'm doing pretty good. Happy to be here.
Well, I'll start off here by we got our new season kicked off here. Kind of walk me through how last weekend here went for you here at North Wilkesboro.
Well, we started off the Street Stock series. We brought that back. So in that series, I came home. I had power outage. I just got back from a trip and had a power outage, and my virtual headset was completely dead. So I raced with a flat screen in that one for the first time in quite a while now. And it was a new challenge, or an old challenge renewed. But I got that charged up for the SKs.
I'm gonna bet that single monitor. You probably didn't remember it being that hard, did you?
No, no, and when you pop in, the field of view set for what you were playing with in the VR, because I was messed up the settings way back when and never fixed them because I wasn't racing on them. So I'm sitting, the window's like a tiny little box in front of me, and I had to readjust everything. But it was definitely interesting. We got it all hammered out, and actually brought it home fourth, so didn't do too bad in that.
Oh, nice job.
And then in the SKs, I kind of brought some of my own problem, I guess. I was doing pretty good and working my way up, and got a little close to Kurt. And when he came down in a corner, kind of clipped bars. When I checked up for him, no people behind me didn't have anywhere to go, and I think I got hit by about 5 different cars before I finally came to a stop. So that did some pretty good damage. But brought it back in the late models, worked our way through the field, and brought it home in P2. So some bad, some good.
Up and down, typical racing for you. Well, iRacing, you've been with BRL here for quite a while. Tell me how your path to BRL happened. Where did you get into sim racing, and when did you get into iRacing, and how'd you get to BRL?
So I was always a fan of NASCAR growing up, and when I went to go visit my aunt when I was about 8 down in Florida, she had NASCAR Racing 2 on her computer. Had the, there wasn't force feedback or anything, but had the wheel, the pedals, and I went down there and I loved it while I was down there, and ended up coming home. She ended up, next time she came to visit, she brought the whole setup and just kind of gave it to me. So then I got that was my first taste of sim racing. Did some painting in NASCAR Racing 2 back when it was, just a pixel block. So that was always fun, doing it in paint, the real basic way. Mm-hmm. Then kind of took a hiatus from the Sims for a while after that wheel kind of aged out. Played a lot of the console NASCAR games on controller. I think anywhere from NASCAR 99 on the Nintendo 64, I believe it was. NASCAR 2005 was a memorable one for me. Plus that whole kind of area. And then eventually came back when I started getting older and was able to get my own PC. I think it was, I'm forgetting which NASCAR game it was called. I think it was NASCAR, is it 2003? I think is the one that Papyrus was last made.
Yep.
Before,
I think so. Yes.
Played that one quite a bit. Got that on computer, and then it took me a little while to adopt into iRacing. When I did, I spent some time in street stocks and mostly did officials and would come and go and kind of get frustrated with frustrated in the officials. It was all depend on who you're racing
Yep.
with, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
some days it was a real enjoyable experience, and um,
Yeah,
back
that's always been the rub with iRacing because you've got folks that are just plug and play gamers with people that are actually sim racers, and two different mentalities have to share the track, and yeah, that's always been the rub with iRacing. But so you're back into that. How did you find the BRL?
so I actually started working overnights when I got on here at IU, which is my current employer. So I'd be coming in at like 10 p.m., working till 6 a.m. And so my racing time when I'd actually get a race would be real early in the morning, which I'm most of the time you're racing from people at that point in time. You're either racing with somebody who's really good because they're on the sim all the time, or you're racing somebody from Australia, or and then you get the net lag issues. So I kind of started poking around in broadcasts. We were on GSRC at the time, and started following it on a weekly basis, and it was, it looked like it was a real enjoyable time. It fit the time slot that I could race. It was on Saturdays, Fridays. I had availability there to race because those were my days off. So signed up for that after watching a season or two, getting kind of the feel for it. And it was one of my first, I don't think it was my first league, but it was one of my first experiences in league racing. And it was, I mean, I've been in quite a few leagues now, and I'm glad it was my first because I just absolutely love the structure of it. And everybody's respectful, and you don't have all this, you know some leagues are, most of the leagues I've been in have been real fun, but you get in some, and it's real, it's real chatty during the race, or the people aren't necessarily so respectful of each other, and then it becomes a whole mid-season fiasco on something, and that's racing. So it
Yeah,
comes down.
it's nice that it's a tight knit group, and you see. I mean, even when you joined, I mean, how many folks are still running this thing from when you joined? I mean, the core guys are all the same, so um, that helps with that on track product for sure.
Yep.
Um, well, you've got three championships to boot. Do you have one that's kind of your favorite, one that you remember that you kind of liked? Thought, oh my gosh, you either worked hard for it, or you one that you might have just dominated more than. Do you have a favorite championship?
I would definitely say it was my first SK modified proper championship. That was a goal that I'd been shooting for a while, and it harkens back. I remember, if I could get a top 10, I was happy when I first started the league. I was just
Yes.
wasn't anywhere near there, and it's like now I couldn't even believe that I was pushing for it, and
Yes,
it was an
you
awesome feeling.
you've been one of the most improved drivers over a period of time. I think I came into the league probably pretty close to when you did, and yeah, I remember those days. Top tens were accomplishment. Um, once once you realize, hey, I'm up front there. How was the end of the season there when you got the last two or three races and you're that close to the championship? What was your mindset?
It's stressful. It's now it's don't make a mistake. Don't botch it. That's all you're just trying to think, okay, now every move isn't, you're thinking more about the consequences of everything. It's
Did you have those same thoughts when you won your second championship? I mean, was it the same anxiety level, I guess should I say?
the the feelings were similar, but it definitely diluted a little bit. There wasn't so much on the line, because once you got that first one, it's like, okay, I've done it, I can do it, like, just keep on the path, do the best you can, and what happens happens. No sense getting too hurt over it, if something happens. But
Well, the two broadcasted series and whatnot, are you feel you're stronger? I got to presume in the SK than the late model, right?
yeah, and I would say it's easier for me to manage tire temps than it is to manage tire wear in the late models.
Yeah.
I think that's
Well,
what it really
what I
comes
was
down
going to
to.
ask now that you've got a couple of championships under your belt, does that now set a expectation for the season? Do you come in and say, okay, I want to run top 3 in the points, or I mean, do you think about that stuff, or is it more, hey, I'm just going to show up, have fun, what happens happens?
I mean, you're always driving to do the best you can. The first half of the season, you're coming in. How can I? You're going for wins, right? You want to win. You want to get up front. Then it's past that. It's where the cards lay. I mean, you're either there or you're not. Once you get, you start feeling out how your season's going, and you know, once you're about halfway, 3/4 through, it's like, okay, am I stacking them here? But no, not generally from the beginning of the season. It's just trying to race and have fun and do the best you can do.
Yeah. Well, now that I have to imagine you got into sim racing and everything else because you've enjoyed racing. Growing up, were you a NASCAR fan, IndyCar fan? What did you follow prior to getting into sim racing?
Growing up, I mostly followed NASCAR. As I
Who
started getting older,
who was your driver?
I was Rusty Wallace all the
That's
way.
what I figure. I can
Uh,
see on your wall behind you there.
yep,
I think that car. I
and,
think you called that car Midnight. Yeah, Midnight behind you
yeah,
up there.
yep, and that was definitely one of my favorite ones. The Ford Thunderbird that he had that had the blue and red on it, the kind of like flowing design. I also like that one. Um, but I've got quite a few of them around. I'm looking at one on the other side of my wall, right behind my sim rig too. So I've got like a
Nice.
they're all over. Most of them are from when I was a kid, and I've just got them out. So because this is my design area and racing area.
What's your what moment made you a big fan of him? Well, how did you decide, yep, that's my guy? How'd that come about?
I think it was probably watching some of the watching some of the older stuff because I was younger. I know he took that massive tumble where his car just got ripped to shreds.
Yep.
I liked his car. I was a little kid at the time, so I adopted him real quick. I liked his car, and I've always kind of rooted. I wouldn't say he's necessarily an underdog, but I know a lot of people, they'll gravitate towards Dale Earnhardt or Jeff Gordon, and it's like, well, those people would dominate. You know what I mean? I always found it interesting, like, you know, watching somebody kind of, you know what I
Go,
mean, have to
go.
progress and
Yep. Go against the status quo.
yeah,
Yeah, when Rusty came in, yeah, Earnhardt and actually Waltrip at that time were pretty big, and then it turned into Waltrip and Gordon there. So, but Rusty held his own. So, um, yeah, there's that tumble. I actually remember that tumble there, and that actually came off the bumper of Earnhardt too. Um, at least one of them at Talladega. I think he took two of them at Talladega. I know the one towards the front stretch by the start finish line. That one came off of Earnhardt's bumper. But well, we talked your NASCAR. Are you still following NASCAR currently?
I don't necessarily watch the races as much anymore. I'll follow up with a recap. I've
Hmm.
got, some people that I'm not really. fond of the rule changes over the last decade, the playoff format.
Gotcha.
It just doesn't really entertain me as much as watching somebody have to really pull consistency, and every race is a factor in it.
Yeah,
Um,
the whole manufactured entertainment that they've tried here. So I know where you're coming from. Well, you're not NASCAR, but I know you're surrounded by racetracks. So do you go to a local track anywhere particular you like?
I live in Spencer, Indiana. I used to live in Bloomington, so I've been to Bloomington quite a few times. I try to go a few times at least each year. Um, I also have flow racing, so I watch a lot of races that I can't go to. Get a lot of entertainment there. I want to go to. I haven't been to Paragon, which is right out here by me, and I want to go to Terre Haute. I want to see some races out at those tracks. But I grew up in Gas City, Indiana, so the track that's always been closest to my heart's been I-69 Speedway. There's just something about sitting up against that cage, getting mud flung at you. It's just, it's not the same everywhere.
Gas City is actually one of my favorite tracks that I've actually raced on. Great track. The crew out there always kept it on top notch. It's one of the few tracks where we've ran. I don't know how they do it, but because they run open wheel, the non-wing sprint cars out there primarily, and usually when those cars hit tracks, they tear the track up. They rut up pretty good, and everything else because of the huge right rears that those cars have. And man, those guys always kept that track raceable through the night, even with those cars hitting the track. So that's an excellent track to kind of grow up and be around. Do you have a local favorite that you kind of try to, or a local series that you try to hit if you know they're going on?
I'd say the biggest thing I usually try to do is try to hit a few tracks on Indiana Sprint Week,
Mm.
and Indiana Midget Week. I always love to go out and kind of watch that. I don't really follow any particular local track enough to know the local drivers so much, recognize them. Don't particularly have a favorite when it comes to like USAC and things like that either. I just really enjoy going out there, picking a car, watching them go through the heats. Got to be out there for the whole thing. Watch them go through heats and kind of watch how they run, and I like to predict and pick a favorite or two, see how they do. And that's usually about the way I usually go out and enjoy it. So.
Well, we've established you're a big racing fan. What other hobbies do you like doing? There other things that you do to help pass time?
Well, I've got quite the setup with my computer, so I spend a lot of time, playing different kinds of genre video games. Really into simulations of all kinds. I've got flight stick, rudder pedals, throttle quadrant. Really enjoy, like World War II dogfighting sims.
Mm.
Those are always a fun time for me. Flying in a squad, and um,
Wow.
Microsoft Flight Simulator is pretty cool as
And
well.
they've got a new one of those coming out. Do you know that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
And for
I
whatever
haven't done
reason,
much.
it's got a career mode in it, if you can imagine that for the flight sim.
Well, I think that might be kind of interesting because one of the
Yeah.
problems I've always had is, it's like you go out and you pick your place you take off, you pick your destination. Other than that, it's just sightseeing. Not a whole lot of objectives. But yeah, I did see that, and I saw that they had. It seemed like there were like some rescue type missions and things like
Oh
that, or
wow.
something. It looked like it was from the now. It's been a little while since I've seen this, but it looked like they had some pretty cool stuff. So
Wow.
I'm excited to see it. I don't know if I really want to fork out, right off the bat. I'll probably see how it comes because I'm not sure I want
Yeah.
to give up
Well, the good
250
news
more gigs.
Well, I was going to say I don't think it's going to take up as much space. That was one of the selling points of it. It's not going to take up hardly nowhere near the space that the original because when the original like a I don't know 150 gigabytes for it or 250 gigabytes for it or something like that.
I think it ended up once you started getting, because you'd start getting the base packs and stuff like the airport packs, stuff like that, region packs, plane
Yeah,
packs. Yeah, I think it really got up there.
yeah, kind of like
I
kind of like iRacing.
Oh yeah, and on my main computer I don't have a problem, but I paint on my laptop, and I
Mm.
just keep having to un. I think it's easily a third or more of my hard drive on that thing now. So um, and it's always growing its belly. But hey, I mean, I'm all for having more tracks, more cars,
Oh, I
more
am too.
experience.
Yeah, I don't ever want to go back and try to figure out how much I've spent keeping up with
Put
everything. Um,
that number in the closet.
Yeah, yep. Bury it way down deep and try not to ever think about or speak about it again. But, um, well, is there a favorite when you mentioned the sim game or the flight sim? Is there a favorite plane that you take out most frequently?
um, I really enjoy and flight sims and World War II sims. I really enjoy the P-47, the way it flies. The P-51 as well.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
both of those, both of those, are kind of boom and zoom. It's you know energy management, things like that. Controlling it. I know in IL-2, if you're on if you're on like the Russians or German, I'm not able to read the dashboard and those things anyway. So it's whatever I can manage to get in the air and actually manage the engine. And so,
Fair,
so
fair enough. How about other? You talked about other strategy games. What other strategy games do you like that you play a lot?
um, lately I've been playing X4 Foundations, which is kind of like a space management sim, kind of like own like a company. It's simulator slash strategy. So basically you start off usually in like one ship, and then you end up growing a whole company, and by the end of the game you're just the boss moving pawns around on the map, right? So that one's real cool. I get into some of the Paradox 4X games, so I really like Stellaris, Crusader Kings. um, Play a lot of those. I play those with my nephews, and have a good time with those, and dive into. I mean, they're big campaigns. I mean, you're cutting in a dedication to that for a while. So, but it's real fun to play those types of games. Um,
Well,
I have
let's say you're stranded on an island and you've got a computer that only can get one game on it. What is your game? What are you putting on there?
well, especially if I don't have internet, I'm going with Stellaris all day.
You can have
Um,
internet. You can have internet connection, but you only have one game. Which game is it?
it'd probably still be Stellaris. I've got a soft spot in my heart for the Space 4X, and Stellaris. They keep changing it a little bit, and it's for the better some ways, for the worse some ways, but that's one of my favorites for sure. I originally grew up playing a Space Empires 3, which is like turn-based Space 4X, and I just spend hours on that, managing the empire and the finances and colonies and all that. So I really love that kind of aspect.
I have to have my wife check that out. She likes playing Civilizations. She's a big Civilizations fan, so it sounds like that might be pretty similar to it. So, but
Civ's fun. I kind of draw away from the turn based, just because I always forget to end turn, or I'll skip the turn too fast, and
Forget
For me, it
something.
just doesn't work. It doesn't work in my brain. I end up forgetting to do something for 3 turns, and it's like, oh, this is stalled out, you know. But yeah, Civ is fun though.
Very nice. Well, we talked about you said you grew up near Gas City and you're in Spencer now. Well, what do you do when you're not at home, on your computer and that? What do you do for work in that?
I work at IU for facility operations. I'm currently general supervisor. I got to be able to work during the day now. So instead of getting up at 10 p.m. and working until 6 a.m., now I'm getting up at 5 a.m. and working until about 2:30 in the afternoon. Um, in my current position, I'm over custodial and waste management across the campus. So we can be anywhere on Bloomington campus.
Wow.
I'm constantly responding to calls, trash trucks, maintenance of trash trucks, the drivers. Um, so I have to hold a CDL for that as well. So it's definitely
Wow.
an interesting aspect of the job.
Yeah. Is it does it stay steady year round, or like in the summer, does everything kind of pare back a little bit? Because I know from teaching, the summers were, the summer and that winter break. So I mean, do you guys follow that kind of schedule too and get lighter, or does it stay constant?
So when the students are there, it's jam packed. You're, I mean, you know when the class is let out, because you aren't getting around certain streets. You know if it's turn of the hour, don't go down this street. Don't go down 10th. When once all of that is over at the end of the school year, it becomes a whole different town. I mean, it goes from feeling like a big busy city to, you can go out. There's lots of beautiful areas to go out. There'd be no traffic anywhere. Very very calm. You've got the whole downtown area. That's the time if you live in the area to definitely go out and enjoy, like, downtown and the eateries and stuff like that are, they're there for the college. I mean, that's how they would have enough business to be there. But then you get this 3-month span where it's just you almost get it to
Right.
yourself.
Do you guys handle the stadium and the basketball games and all that stuff too?
Um, there's a different department, and athletics handles that for the most part. We
Gotcha.
might respond to an emergency call. We do handle cleanup after football games, so we're usually out there that weekend, on call that weekend, just in case they need, any major pickup or anything like that. And of course, after the game, I mean, you're talking all the areas where they have the RVs. You're talking parking lots. After the game in the stadium itself. All that tailgating. I mean, beer cans upon beer cans
Yeah.
upon beer cans. So
Yeah, that's exactly why I asked the question. I can only imagine the carnage after a game between the tailgating and then what goes on in the stadium, and I'm sure that more carnage happens after the game lets out too. So
yeah,
especially after a big win or something like that. Which basketball you see that more often than the football team down there. But you guys did have a couple of years down there where your football team wasn't actually half bad. Um,
I
but
think I don't
go
follow
ahead.
it too much, but I think they're doing pretty good this year. I haven't been following it too much, but I've been hearing that they've been doing pretty good this year. So
Nice. Well, it was kind of cool, kind of getting to know you and everything else, and we're talking a lot of different gaming things. And um, you know, I got to ask real quick. I guess jump back into the sim racing world. Do you have a favorite track you like going to? Just out of curiosity.
that's a good question. Um, I I don't have a specific track that I like, but I love tracks that will put on multi-lane racing. One
Yeah.
you can put some strategy into and either work the high lane, or one that's so beating that. One of the things I like about bootleg is the no tire change rule. You've got what you've got. You're out there just like you would be at a local short track, and once those tires are gone, you start seeing the dynamic of the race change out. People drop off. They're comers and goers kind of effect. So I really enjoy that style of racing when it comes to ovals.
Yep.
I'd say I'm pretty partial to my home track of um, Lucas Oil Raceway out there, and IRP,
Yep.
Indianapolis Raceway Park. I really like the outer lane kind of aspect of it, and the things you can do, the progressive banking, those kinds of things.
Yeah, actually, that's one of my favorite tracks, and it's probably because it's one of the ones that are closer to simulating like you would on dirt and getting up there and riding the boards up on the dirt. So, cool track it is. And is there any other outside the bootleg cars? Any other kind of racing that you like doing on the sim there?
So one of the cool things I really like about iRacing is it's got me into so many different genres of racing. Not
Mhm.
not just in the sim, but watching them. Formula One cars, sports cars. I like the endurance racing aspect of it. I don't get to spend a whole lot of time doing that, but I do enjoy it. I try to do some road racing when I can. Um, I like that they split the sports and open wheel classes. I really
Yeah,
kind of like that idea. I even dabbled in the rally cross for a while. That I thought that was fun too. Um, the NASCAR cars, racing them on the sim is quite fun. I pretty much enjoy all the forms of racing on iRacing.
nice. iRacing likes to hear that. That's for sure. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
they like it when I
very.
open my wallet for them too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we weren't going to talk about that anymore. Remember, I'm not going to mention that money spent any of that. But
Yeah,
well,
gotcha.
Todd, I do thank you for hopping on here and and spending some time with us. But I got to do one more thing. It's a little green white checker thing that we do here. So I'm going to give you three topics and just say the first kind of first thoughts that come into your mind on them. You ready?
Go ahead.
All right. Strategy games or sim racing games?
Strategy games, I'd have to say. I think that racing is fun and it has a lot of strategy to it, but at the end of the day, I know there's a lot of reflex that go into racing games, so I'm just not always in the mood. I mean, I love them both, but I just sometimes you want to sit back and chill and have a snack and rule
Yes.
the rule the rule the world, you know.
Yep. All right. The SK or the late model?
I'd say that SK I'm definitely the best at, but I'm really intrigued by the challenge of the late model, and I've learned so much more driving the late model than I think I have the SK. But I do like driving the SK more on a daily basis or
All
weekly
right.
basis.
The last one, BRL or yesteryear? Yeah.
BRL, and
And,
I
and
love
and
what they're doing over
yep.
there.
Well, and here's why I paused for a reason, but here's why I asked that question is because the yesteryear has the longer races. You mentioned the like doing the endurance races and stuff like that. The BRL is usually about 100 laps, but those yesteryear, and that's what I was asking. Basically, do you like the longer races or do you like the shorter races? That kind of stuff. So I wasn't
and
trying to I wasn't trying to create a rivalry. Just kind of
No,
curious.
you're good. I really do like the aspect that he's got going on over there because, again, knowing that I like strategy,
Yeah.
it is one of the few times that you get to put a little bit of pit strategy into one of the modifieds. You don't have a whole lot of times where that kind of comes in the leagues that usually run them. So it actually is a really cool experience to be able to get in there and run with that kind of stuff. But I've just got so many, years now in BRL that
Yep.
it's my
Well,
iRacing
and,
home,
and,
I guess.
and be honest, you can't go wrong with either league. Those are both
Hmm.
top-notch leagues and all that. Just a little bit of nuance difference in how you race. Um, and I've only run one of the yesteryear, but I haven't done them all, so I haven't had a chance to experience that. But I've watched quite a few of them, and like you said, that strategy, that pit strategy, comes in, and it's interesting to watch. Um, I'm with you. The investment and everything into BRL over time, and that stuff to pry away from. But like I said, just two different kinds of racing. It's not one that's better than the other. It's just you know the the format's a
Both
little.
times. Yep.
Yeah, because it's a lot of the same guys running both of them. So, I mean, for
Hmm.
those of you that haven't looked into yesteryear and do run BRL, take a look at it. It is actually really interested. You're going to see a lot of friends over there. The same thing with some of you guys in yesteryear. Take a look at BRL. You're going to see a lot of names. Leagues are only strong because of the support they get, and it seems like the both groups of guys are along the same. So, you know, don't hesitate to hop in those other leagues. That's for sure. But well, Todd, I thank you again for coming on here, and we'll have to have you back on. We'll find some more things to talk about. But before we go, we got to preview the next race coming up here that will be on the VGN networks. It'll be the BRL from Slinger up in Wisconsin. A really, really fast little bull ring with some really high banking. Todd, what has your experience been with there? It's been limited because it's a newer track.
It's definitely hectic. Um, I I ran in Matt Hoose's league a week or two ago in the mini stocks, and I remember thinking, man, these cars actually feel like they fit on this track. Because it's just so small, and I mean it's been fun when we've gotten there. But I mean, you're talking with 20 car packs like we have sometimes in bootleg. You're you're never alone out there.
So,
So there's always something to do,
and it's tough
someone to
to
get
kind of
by.
get out of the way, and if you're off the pace and off the pace a little, you're getting lapped. If you're a leader, you're probably in lap traffic. What would you say, 15, 20 laps into it?
Oh, easy.
Without cautions,
Hmm.
Um, this is one, for folks that may have not seen a BRL broadcast. Saturday night would be the night to tune in. That hectic is such a good way to put it, because everybody's so tight. Like you said, you're almost always in traffic, and if there is a problem, chances are you're probably going to either be in it or you're going to have to do something to miss it. I don't think anywhere, because I forget what kind of lap times we ran there, but it seems like I'm thinking like 11, 12-second laps there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I could be wrong on that, but they're really fast laps. So yeah, there's a wreck that happens, like, I don't know, last week at North Wilkesboro, there was a big wreck coming out of turn 2 where there was cars everywhere. No caution in that late model race, and it's 15, 16 seconds before the leaders got to the scene. But if that happens at Slinger, oh Lord, there's going to be a big parking lot.
And
That track.
and I'll put it this way: you're talking about that incident out there in North Wilkesboro. The other eerie thing about that, when you see half the pack gone, you're no caution. Well, you're still going. You know that if they're gone, they're somewhere. Are they around the
Yeah.
next corner? So and that makes it like you said. The good thing about
Yep.
the high banking of Slinger, though, is that when there is an incident, at least the track is self cleaning for the most part.
Yeah.
They'll just slide on down into the infield. But
Yeah.
like you said, I mean, if you're anywhere on half the track, you're probably evading it or getting around it, trying to shoot high or
Yeah, and another thing too, that we don't talk about a whole lot track. We always talk about track conditions and stuff like that. Can you get 2-lane? But visibility is actually a problem there, because you get down into the apex of that corner, you can only see so much out of that corner because you go so far down into that banking, and then you got to come up out of it. You can't really see. If I'm in VR, you can't even see as you're down in the corner. You can't even see out of the corner down the front stretch. So if there's something happening, the end of the front stretch or the end of the back stretch, which you're going to be there in about 3 or 4 seconds, you can't see it, because of that banking and how that is, and that can be a factor too, real fast.
Oh, yeah.
So, well, all right, man. Well, it was good talking to you. I hope everybody will tune into Slinger on Saturday night. Your times and everything will be on the screen right now. And you know what? It'll be a fun time here. But Todd, thank you again for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me.
You're welcome. And Todd, I look forward to seeing you Saturday night at Slinger, not Springer. And once again, though, Ryan and I would like to thank you for tuning in to the VGN weekly broadcast here, and we will be here every Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock. Make sure you give us a like. Make sure you ring that notification bell. Make sure so you get all of our broadcasts, everything else. Also, once again, I want to remind anybody that if you are a league owner and you have a racing broadcast need, please get a hold of us at thevirtualgrip.net. But until next week, where we'll be right back here, same time, same channel. Keep it between the wall, folks, and we'll see you next week.